I still vividly remember that moment, etched into my memory like a deep cut. The laughter erupting around the dinner table, the eyes half pitying, half mocking, and my mother's voice ringing out, cold but resolute. "You'll never have a house like your sister's, Claire." I sat there, 33 years old, in the warm glow of an upscale restaurant in downtown San Francisco. But I felt like a 13-year-old kid who'd flunked a test, shrinking under my mother's disappointed gaze. Time might pass, I might grow up, but the wound from being compared never healed. That night, we gathered to celebrate my mother Linda's 58th birthday. She'd chosen a pricey restaurant with a view of the bay, golden lights glinting off wine glasses, a piano playing softly in the background. Everything was perfect, at least on the surface. Next to me sat my sister Melissa, 36, a successful lawyer, her blonde hair perfectly styled, her designer dress hugging her slim frame. Beside her was her husband Kyle, a smug finance bro, and their twin boys, pristine in white shirts and tiny ties, like they'd stepped out of a magazine spread. That was the model family my mother always dreamed of. And me? In their eyes, I was forever the odd one out. My father died of a stroke when I was 12. His death didn't just take away the only man who ever believed I was special, it plunged my mother into a bottomless fear. From that day on, she was obsessed with maintaining the image of a stable, successful family at all costs. To her, safety meant a solid career, a high salary, a grand house. And Melissa was the living proof of that dream. Me, though, I was different. I was passionate about drawing, design, coding, things my mother dismissed as pipe dreams. I chose to study digital design instead of business or law. From then on, I became her disappointment. Family dinners often turned into a stage for Mom and Melissa's performance. Mom would gush about Melissa's latest big case, the new vacation home they bought in Napa, their endless string of successes. And me? If I was ever asked, the conversation always ended with a frown. "Is that enough to live on, Claire?" That evening, after the appetizers, Mom raised her glass, her voice brimming with pride. "Melissa just got promoted to senior partner at her firm. Let's toast to her, Kyle and the boys." Everyone clapped and cheered. I smiled and raised my glass too. But inside, a part of me was growing numb. By the main course, the talk shifted to real estate. Kyle bragged about a neighbor selling their house for $1.5 million, with Melissa chiming in. Mom sighed with pride. "My daughter was so smart to buy early. Their house is worth 1.5 times that now." In a fleeting moment of courage, I spoke up. "I've been thinking about buying a house too. There are a few places in San Francisco I like." The room went silent. Then Mom burst out laughing, her voice cutting through the air like a knife. "Honey, a house in San Francisco? With your income? Don't be delusional." Melissa tilted her head, her eyes tinged with pity. "Maybe a small condo in the suburbs would be more realistic. But even that's a stretch, Claire." Kyle piled on. "You know, just the down payment alone is probably double your annual income." They spoke as if I wasn't even there. My nephews even giggled along, though they didn't fully get it. I forced a smile, set my fork down, and kept my voice steady. Just thinking out loud, nothing serious. But inside, I felt like someone had punched me. They'd boxed me into the failure role for so long that anything I said was a punchline. I sat quietly, listening to the piano and the clinking glasses, but the sounds felt distant. Childhood memories flooded back, me sketching in my room, Mom opening the door, glancing at my drawings, and sighing, "You're going to live off that?" Melissa laughing when I showed her my first college project. "It's pretty, but who's going to pay for it?" That night, I didn't fight back. I didn't have the strength. I just smiled thinly to keep the party going. But in my heart, I made a vow. From now on, I don't need their approval. I just need to live true to myself. Driving back to my small apartment through San Francisco's hilly streets, the dim streetlights glowing, my heart felt heavy yet lit with a strange resolve. They could mock me, dismiss me, but I knew the truth I held. And soon, they'd have to face the real me. Looking back, I know I'm not alone in this. Maybe you've been underestimated, compared, made to feel small by family or society. It hurts, doesn't it? But from that pain, we get to choose. Let it crush us, or let it fuel us to keep going? Have you ever been laughed at for sharing your dreams? Drop a comment and share, because your story might just inspire someone else going through the same thing. Have you ever been looked at with pity, as if you're just scraping by, when inside you're holding a secret that could change everything? I lived that way for years. On the outside, I was just a girl in a tiny Mission District apartment with plain white walls and a desk piled with papers, sketchbooks, and an old laptop. To my family, that was proof of my failure. But they had no idea that behind that facade, I was hiding an entirely different world. A few months before Mom's birthday dinner, my life was hectic in ways no one could have guessed. By day, I played the freelance artist, taking on small design gigs to pay the bills. By night, I was glued to my screen, crunching data, answering emails from partners, and hopping on calls with my team. I wasn't just drawing for fun, as Mom liked to jab. I was the co-founder of CreatorSpace, a project management platform for creatives used by over 500,000 people worldwide. It all started 5 years earlier, when I was working at a marketing agency. Day after day, I watched creatives struggle with deadlines, lose files, miss feedback. It drove me nuts. The project management tools out there were clunky and rigid. I thought, if I don't do something, who will? The idea sparked, but plenty of people tried to snuff it out. What can you do on your own? Little did they know those words became my fuel. I met Marcus, a Chinese-American programmer, at a tech meetup. We clicked instantly, bonded by a shared drive to create something useful. Long nights in 24-hour coffee shops, chugging caffeine, coding, sketching prototypes. We built CreatorSpace from our meager savings. In the early days, I had to choose between paying rent or buying servers to keep the platform running. I ate instant noodles for weeks, but I'd never felt more alive. The first year, we had a few hundred paying users. Skeptics abounded, but I saw unwavering belief in Marcus's eyes. By year 3, we had tens of thousands of users and seven-figure revenue. Venture capitalists started knocking. And me? I still went to family dinners, quietly listening to Mom praise Melissa, letting them think I was the poor artist's sister. Why did I keep it secret? Because I knew if I told them, they wouldn't believe me, or worse, they'd try to claim it as their victory. Mom would say she always knew I'd make it. Melissa would claim I got my smarts from her. I'd endured enough dismissal to know that sometimes the truth is best kept quiet until it's undeniable. Then came the moment that changed everything. A major software company offered to buy CreatorSpace. The number they threw out floored me, $28 million. The night we signed the deal, as the money hit my account, I sat stunned in my tiny apartment. I didn't scream or call Mom or Melissa. I just cried, not for the money, but because I'd finally proven my worth to myself. I started house hunting, not for a basic condo, but a real home, a symbol of the stability and freedom Mom said I'd never have. I met Sarah, a real estate agent who worked with wealthy clients. I told her, I need a place that's not just for living, but for telling my story. A house that says, this is Claire's achievement. After weeks of searching, we walked into a spacious Craftsman in Madison Park, just blocks from Melissa's mansion. Dark wood walls, big windows overlooking the San Francisco Bay, a lush green backyard. My heart raced. Sarah said the price, $2.7 million. 3 other buyers are bidding. I didn't hesitate. I'll pay $3 million cash, close in 2 weeks, but keep my identity confidential. Signing that contract felt like rewriting my fate. I still remember the day I got the keys. The house was vast and empty, afternoon sunlight spilling across the polished wood floors. My footsteps echoed as I walked into the living room. It felt both foreign and sacred. Years of being belittled, mocked, melted into resolve. I whispered to myself, like a vow, this is my truth. One day, they'll have to see it. I didn't know then if I was trembling from emotion or anticipation of the storm to come. All I knew was that every forced smile, every moment of being diminished, had led me to this. How does it feel when the world thinks you're just a dreamer, but you're holding a victory they can't imagine. If this story resonates, comment why. If not, be honest and drop an N. Some days, you plan everything perfectly, but the universe decides to pull back the curtain in the most unexpected way. For me, that was a spring morning when moving trucks lined the quiet street, marking the moment I stepped into my new life. I thought I'd have a few weeks to settle in, decorate, and pick the right time to tell my family. But life rarely follows the script. As I stood in the living room, listening to the clatter of wooden crates and movers shouting, my phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. "Claire, where are you? There's a moving truck parked in front of the corner house on Madison. The stuff looks familiar. Are you freelancing for the new owner?" My heart stopped. I ran to the window and peeked through the blinds. Sure enough, Melissa's shiny SUV was parked across the street. In the passenger seat was Mom, Linda, leaning forward, staring intently as if trying to see through the glass. I took a deep breath. This was happening sooner than I'd planned. The iron gate creaked open. Melissa stepped out, her heels clicking on the stone path. Mom followed, her posture regal, her coat impeccable, as if she were heading to a board meeting. They stopped on the porch, looking around with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. I opened the door and stepped out. The sunlight hit my eyes, making the moment feel larger than life. "Claire?" Mom gasped. "What are you doing here? Whose house is this?" I kept my voice steady, mine. For a few seconds, silence enveloped us. Melissa frowned, like she was trying to solve a puzzle. Mom let out a scoffing laugh. "Don't be ridiculous. Are you working for someone here? Did the owner hire you to decorate?" I shook my head. "No, I'm the owner." They stared at me, then at the massive Craftsman behind me. Melissa let out a half-sarcastic laugh. "Claire, this place was listed for $3 million. You're saying you bought it?" That was the moment I saw the chaos in their minds. Shock, denial, then panic. They were so used to seeing me as the poor artist's sister that the truth in front of them didn't compute. I stepped down to face them. "I bought this house, cash, no loans." Mom's face paled. She turned to Melissa as if begging for a logical explanation. Melissa clutched her purse, her voice sharp. "How? You can barely afford your apartment. Don't tell me you won the lottery." I looked straight into her eyes. "No, I sold my company, Creator Space. The deal was worth $28 million. The air froze. For the first time in years, Melissa was speechless. Mom's jaw dropped and she whispered, "Creator Space, the software Kyle's company keeps raving about?" I nodded. "Yes, Marcus and I built it from scratch." Melissa took a step back, her eyes darting. I could see the calculations running through her lawyer brain, smelling opportunity. Mom's demeanor shifted instantly. She stepped forward, trying to grab my hand. "Oh, Claire, why didn't you tell me sooner? I always knew you had potential." Her words felt like a chokehold. For years, I'd begged for a shred of belief. Now, with money in the picture, she was rewriting history. I pulled my hand back, my voice calm. "No, Mom, you didn't believe in me. And I don't need belated validation." Melissa flinched, jumping in. "Look, Claire, you're dealing with a lot of money now. You're not used to tax laws, investments. Kyle could help." I cut her off. "I have my own lawyer and financial advisor. I don't need anyone's guidance." In that moment, I saw their discomfort plain as day. Mom tried to soften her tone. Melissa scrambled to regain control. But deep down, their image of Claire, the failure, was crumbling to dust. A mover passed by, asking where to put the piano. I turned to answer, then stepped back inside. When I glanced back, Mom and Melissa stood frozen in the yard, looking small and lost. I said my final piece. "I don't need anyone's approval anymore. From now on, I live for myself." Then I closed the door. Outside, I heard whispers, hurried footsteps. They left in silence, leaving the yard empty. I leaned against the door, my heart pounding. I knew this was just the beginning. They wouldn't let go easily. But for the first time, I felt truly free. Have you ever been cast as the failure, only to have the truth explode and force everyone to rethink you? When that moment comes, what do you choose? Chasing their approval or setting your own boundaries? If you want to hear more stories and struggles like mine and feel a connection, check out my previous videos on this channel. The phone rang on a sweltering early summer afternoon. I'd just gotten back from a long meeting, standing outside my new house, when the screen lit up with Melissa's name. Normally, I'd let it go to voicemail and text back later, but a gut feeling made my heart skip. I answered. Melissa's voice was frantic, halting. "Claire, Mom fell. She's been taken to St. Mary's Hospital. I'm here now. If you want to see her, come quick." The world around me darkened. I didn't ask questions, just grabbed my keys and ran to the car. San Francisco's streets were clogged, red lights mocking me. One thought looped in my mind. Is Mom okay? At the hospital, I found Melissa in the hallway, her face pale. She motioned for quiet and whispered, "The doctor said it was a minor stroke, caught in time. She's coming around." I walked into the room. There was Mom, Linda, the woman always so polished, dresses pressed, demeanor stern, now lying in a hospital bed, silver hair disheveled, ivy lines crisscrossing her arms. She opened her eyes weakly, looking at me. "Claire." Her voice was hoarse, barely a whisper. I pulled a chair close and sat by her side. For the first time in years, there was no distance between us, just the fragility of a woman fighting illness. She grabbed my hand, her thin fingers trembling. Tears welled in her eyes. "My girl, I'm sorry. All these years I compared you, pushed you to fit my mold. Not because I hated you. I was scared, Claire. Scared you'd end up struggling, broke like your father before he died. I was wrong." I stayed silent, feeling the ice in my heart melt. I'd waited so long for this admission, and now it came in a cold, white room in the frail voice of the mother I both loved and resented. I squeezed her hand, keeping my voice steady. "Mom, I understand. I was hurt, angry at being dismissed. But now I just want you to know one thing. I never needed you to validate my success. I just needed you to love me, truly love me, without standards or comparisons. Just with your heart." Tears spilled down her face. She tried to speak but could only manage, "Claire, my girl." In that moment, I wasn't the entrepreneur who sold $1 million company or the daughter who'd been belittled. I was the 12-year-old holding Mom's hand at Dad's funeral, vowing never to leave her. And now, with her at her weakest, I wouldn't abandon her. In the days that followed, I rearranged my schedule to spend more time at the hospital. I fed her spoonfuls of soup, adjusted her pillows, read her the news. Melissa was there too, but often distracted, taking work calls. Maybe for the first time, Mom saw that her failed daughter was the one by her side the most. One evening, in the quiet hospital room, Mom whispered, "Claire, I was so scared. Scared of losing everything. So I clung to your sister, made her live the perfect life. And I pushed you away. I turned love into a burden." I gently stroked her cold hand. "Mom, we can't change the past. But I'm here now. And I forgive you. Because love matters more than any standard of success you ever believed in." She sobbed like a child. I held her close. Amid the steady beeps of the heart monitor, I felt a real connection reborn after years of being broken. Leaving the hospital that night, I walked down the long hallway, my heart lighter than ever. Deep down, I knew this illness didn't just weaken Mom. It brought her closer to me. Maybe this was our chance to heal what seemed lost forever. I still wonder, will Mom truly change after this? Will love be strong enough to overcome her ingrained habit of comparing and controlling? And my sister, Melissa, always so perfect, will she ever admit what she's held back? The answers came sooner than I expected, because from Mom's vulnerability, another secret of Melissa's began to unravel. Some truths we bury so deep we forget them ourselves until a crack in life forces them to surface. For my sister Melissa, that crack started in the hospital, with Mom on the bed and me by her side. For the first time, she saw clearly what she'd long denied. The failed sister was Mom's rock. And from that day, the way she looked at me changed. A few weeks later, when Mom was recovering, I brought her to stay with me for easier care. The spacious Craftsman felt cozier with her there. Melissa visited occasionally, bringing flowers, fruit, or fancy meals. She was always busy, checking on Mom while glued to her phone for work emails. I kept my distance, knowing a wall of years still stood between us. One weekend evening, as I watered plants on the porch, Melissa showed up unannounced. No power suit or designer outfit. Just old jeans, a loose tee, and no makeup. I barely recognized her. "Claire, you free?" Her voice was soft, hoarse. I nodded, leading her to the living room. We sat across from each other at my new wooden table, the soft glow of a lamp casting a calm over the space. Melissa was quiet for a long time, wrestling with herself. Then she exhaled. "I'm so tired, Claire." I froze. For the first time ever, I heard her say that. Melissa, the perfect daughter, the star lawyer, Kyle's powerful wife, tired? Her eyes were red as she looked at me. "You know, I never wanted to be a lawyer. In high school, I dreamed of studying art history, working in a museum. But after Dad died, Mom kept saying we needed a successful, secure daughter. I was the eldest. I had to carry it. So I buried my dreams." I was stunned. Beneath her perfect exterior, my sister had been a dreamer, just like me. "It's the same with Kyle," she continued. "I thought marrying him was the right move, stable, prestigious, what Mom wanted. But our marriage, it's a shell. We're practically strangers, only talking about finances or social plans. I'm lonely in my own big house." Her voice trembled, her hands clenched, nails digging into her palms. The strength and pride I'd always seen in her were gone. I asked quietly, "Then why did you always put me down? Why join Mom in mocking my dreams?" Melissa looked down, a tear rolling down her cheek. "Because I was jealous, Claire. Jealous of your freedom. You dared to live your way, and I didn't. Every time I saw you chasing art, I was scared you'd succeed, and that would prove I'd sacrificed my life for a lie. So I belittled you to convince myself I was better off." Her confession cut like a knife, but also felt like a balm. I'd waited so long for her to be real with me. Too long. I looked at her. "Do you know how much your words hurt me? I spent years proving I wasn't worthless, but I don't resent you anymore. I just wish we hadn't lost so much time." Melissa looked up, her eyes full of regret. "I know, and I want to change. Not because you're rich or own this house, but because I'm tired of the perfect mask. I want my sister back, the one who used to draw next to me when we were kids." My heart tightened. I remembered nights when we'd hide under blankets, her reading by flashlight while I sketched. We were so close before Mom's expectations and society's pressures turned us into rivals. I took a deep breath. "I want my sister back too, but this time we start from truth. No pretending, no comparing, no competing." Melissa nodded, tears still falling. We sat in silence, then she reached across the table, grabbing my hand. Her hand was cold but gripped mine tightly. When she left that night, I watched from the porch. For the first time in years, the distance between us felt gone. Just two women, burdened by too much pressure, now trying to find their way back to each other. But I knew this reconciliation wouldn't be easy. Mom was starting to change. Melissa had shed her mask. Could the three of us find the courage to rebuild a family on truth and forgiveness? There are moments in life when you step into a familiar room, but your heart races like it's the first time. That Christmas, my house glowed with golden lights, the scent of cinnamon and nutmeg wafting from the kitchen. Yet I was as nervous as a kid about to spill a secret. For the first time in years, my whole family would gather in the home they once thought I'd never own. I stood by the long wooden table draped in a red cloth, adorned with white candles and green wreaths. Close friends were there, Rachel with her radiant smile, Marcus, my startup partner, and a few old colleagues who'd believed in me from the start. They laughed easily, like this was already their home. But when the doorbell rang, my heart sank. Mom, Linda, walked in first, in a deep red sweater, her face etched with new lines. Behind her was Melissa with her boys, carrying carefully wrapped gifts. Unlike before, Melissa didn't stride in with pride. She offered a shy smile, her eyes cautious. For a moment, I feared the awkwardness would return. But then Mom came over and hugged me tightly, whispering, "Thank you for inviting me. I know it wasn't easy." I replied softly, "It's Christmas, Mom. This is for family." We sat around the table. Children's laughter mingled with the clink of glasses, but I was on edge, waiting for the old patterns, comparisons, jabs to resurface. During the main course, Mom set down her utensils and took a deep breath. Her eyes moved from me to Melissa. She spoke slowly, deliberately. There's something I need to say tonight, in front of everyone. This past year, I started therapy. At first, I didn't believe in it, thought my kid's success was enough. But I realized I caused you both pain. I imposed my expectations, turned love into pressure. I'm sorry. From the bottom of my heart. The room fell silent. My eyes blurred with tears. I'd waited years for those words, never expecting them on a Christmas night. Rachel squeezed my hand under the table, grounding me in the moment. Melissa spoke up, her voice unusually gentle. Mom, I have something to share too. I've started studying art history at university again. I'm spending more time with the kids instead of chasing social events. Kyle and I still have issues to work out, but I'm finally living for myself. I looked at her, and for the first time in ages, I saw real light in her eyes. Not the exhaustion of maintaining perfection, but the joy of pursuing what she loved. I raised my glass, my voice shaky. I have something too. For years, I thought success was about proving them wrong. But now I know success isn't for revenge. It's for sharing, healing, finding each other again. Everyone went quiet, then raised their glasses. Laughter returned, not mocking, but relieved and warm. After dinner, as friends left, Mom lingered by the fireplace. She looked around the house, her eyes misty. Claire, I thought this was just your foolish dream, but now I see it's a home of love. You did what I never believed possible, and I know you forgave me by opening your door tonight. I just smiled. Forgiveness isn't forgetting, it's choosing not to let wounds control you. As Mom and Melissa left, I walked them to the porch. My nephews hugged me, chattering about visiting the art studio I'd set up on the third floor. Melissa turned back, grabbing my hand. Thank you, Claire. Tonight, I felt like myself. You gave me hope. I nodded. Let's start from truth, not competition. The door closed, leaving me in the warm house, Christmas lights twinkling by the windows. I leaned against the door, breathing deeply. A year ago, this house was my shield against scornful looks. Now, it wasn't a lonely fortress. It was a place of love, forgiveness, and new beginnings. Real success isn't about bank accounts or big houses. It's about having the strength to forgive, to open your heart, to turn wounds into healing. That Christmas, I found that success, right here in this home. Looking back, I realized the greatest treasure isn't the fancy house or the money in the bank. It's the ability to heal invisible family wounds. I went from the scorned daughter, living in the shadow of comparison, to a woman strong enough to forgive and open her heart. I learned that true success isn't about proving who's right or wrong. It's about sharing, forgiving, and growing together. Mom learned to see her children with her heart, not rigid standards. Melissa dared to be honest, shedding her perfect facade to reclaim her lost passions. And me? I learned happiness comes from living true to my values, not from others' validation. If this story touched you, leave a comment with your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow more human journeys like this, because one day, your story might inspire someone else too.